So, first of all, first question that we've been asked by people is, how likely are you to get the subjects that you choose? Well, that does depend. First of all, it will depend on the subjects that you actually choose. Do we get enough students for those subjects to run in Year 12? It will depend on whether they fit in our timetable and the combination of subjects that you actually choose. But if you have met the entry requirements, the courses run, and they fit on our option blocks, then there shouldn't be an issue with you enrolling on the subjects that you would like to study.
Okay, so a question regarding a portfolio and studying photography at A-level. That's not necessarily a requirement to study that subject, but what we would say is that obviously with that being a creative subject, one that you might need a portfolio moving forward in life and career choice, would certainly recommend that it's something you might want to consider putting together now, which you could then even enhance and use when you study photography with us.
And if you're someone who maybe hasn't done photography before, you've not got a qualification in it, then that would be a good thing to be able to present to the teacher at the start of the year to say, this is my portfolio of evidence that I've got.
Yeah, we often have art students that might have done art at GCSE, for example, then want to study photography, so yeah, very much so. Okay, so average class sizes. This is something I got completely wrong. When I calculated that, I worked it out as 3 because we've got a different size cohort this year. However, Mrs Silvers has the correct figure for average class sizes at Sixth Form.
Yeah, so as you can imagine, our classes do vary in size. We have some quite small groups, sort of 2 or 3 students. We have some larger classes, 20 odd students, but our average class size is 10 students.
Yeah, and I think that does very much depend on, we notoriously have quite popular subjects. For example, psychology each year tends to be quite a large cohort going into that as a class. Other subjects such as art, for example, music tech, they're relatively sort of smaller classes, I would say.
Agreed. So, next question. What happens if we do not get the grades for the subjects we want to apply for? Well, it will depend is the answer here. So first of all, that will be a conversation to have with a member of the Sixth Form team after results day or at enrolment. So as you probably know from our prospectus, we have general Sixth Form entry requirements, but also lots of our A-level subjects have their own individual subject entry requirements. But some of those are flexible, so you'll see that in the prospectus it will say ideally you need this grade. So that is a conversation then to have with a member of the Sixth Form team, and then we will liaise with the relevant member of staff. So it is that there is some flexibility with those entry requirements, but those entry requirements are there for a purpose. I know that Mr Gorbould often has conversations with students about enrolment, about why those entry requirements are there, why they're put in place, and that is to help you succeed on your studies and make sure that you're matched to the courses that best fit your skills and your abilities. So just because you don't get the correct grades, that doesn't mean to say you definitely won't be able to enrol onto that course, but it is a conversation that you would need to have with somebody. The backup option for that, if you're applying for A-level study, if you don't get the grades for our Sixth Form to do A-levels, then you could enrol on our Level 2 pathway course, which is a 1-year course. Another question about subjects. What subjects will go ahead that I am considering taking? At the moment, unfortunately, that's a question that I cannot answer for you. What I can say is that most years, most of our subjects do run. We have enough students for all of our courses to run. Each year there's perhaps 1 or 2 courses where we have to contact students and say, we're really sorry we haven't had enough students apply for this particular course. The way that we make that decision is we wait until every student has applied to us. We look at the courses that they've applied for, we look at how likely they are to come to our Sixth Form. We can then look at what our class sizes are likely to be and whether that's something that we can run. But the vast majority of our courses do run in Sixth Form. Those that don't, as soon as we know they don't, we will contact individual students to let you know.
The next question is, what differences are there from the Sixth Form and the main school? That's quite a difficult one to answer, but I think this very much depends on your unique learning experience. One of the things we often hear is kind of this myth of, because we're a school sixth form, it'll be exactly the same as what normal school is like. However, it is very different. Let's start with the fact that it's an exclusive sixth form area. So the common room, study areas, sixth form office is within its own zone and area of the school in itself. And then you can interact and socialise as much or as little as you want with the main school community, get involved with main school community in terms of events and activities that may take place there. But in terms of differences, we've naturally obviously got a different level of study and the way in which subjects are approached. I think we'll come on to that a little bit later on in some questions, but it's a very much a unique experience for you.
And I think something that students think is quite different with main school and sixth form is the amount of freedom and independence that there is between those two. So you are expected to be much more independent when you come into sixth form. You don't have lessons all of the time. You need to organise your study periods and make sure you're doing all of the work. You've got the freedom to leave site if you want to. Teachers will communicate with you probably a little bit differently. There's a lot more email communication, I think, with teachers than you would have in main school. Class sizes are different. It's a whole new experience, I think, in sixth form, and students really value the level of independence and freedom that they get.
Yeah, no, we've had that from feedback recently.
Yeah.
We've done some surveys, and you'll also see through other videos from current students that most of, certainly external students that have joined us have really enjoyed the experience and the transition here. Some of the questions they thought might have put them off, for example, have been answered to them in a positive way. They've really enjoyed their experience and what sixth form life involves here with us.
Somebody has asked us then, how does the teaching of A-level vary to GCSE? And I've been given this question to answer because I teach both A-level and GCSE. So it is quite different. Their class sizes are smaller for a start in general. Students have all chosen to do those subjects. There tends to be a slightly different atmosphere, I would say, in an A-level classroom. You will do perhaps more group work, but there is more onus on you to take responsibility for your own learning and be that independent learner that we're looking to develop in the sixth form. You might hear teachers talk about something called flipped learning, which is where they're asking you to do pre-reading before lessons so that you've got the basic knowledge. So when you go into the lesson, that is then a focus on applying that knowledge, maybe to case studies, to context, to exam questions and so on. And there is a level of challenge involved in A-level lessons. It is A-level, it is harder, but our students generally enjoy that challenge that they are given by those members of staff, and they enjoy the more adult environment in an A-level classroom.
Yeah, and one of my roles within the sixth form team is to mentor students outside the classroom. So I get that perspective and having discussions with students from that angle. I think students very much enjoy that independence and adapting skills you already have and developing them further with the support of teaching staff. What I'd also say is, because of more of an adult environment, which sixth form kind of presents, there's very much a different teacher-student relationship. So, for example, by that I mean I will often have conversations with colleagues and teaching staff where they'll adapt their lesson style and teaching style, to suit the class and the cohort that they might actually have at the time. You might already be aware that at university, for example, there are lectures and seminars, and some teachers might put more of that in terms of their teaching of their classes to support their students moving forward.
And perhaps something else we should mention here, we've talked about independence and challenge. Support that we put in place for you with that is our Year 12 Study Skills programme, where we are aware that you've only had a matter of weeks going from Year 11, where you're in lessons all day, every day, everything is very structured, to a sixth form environment where you have got to be more independent. and we put this study skills programme in place to help you develop those skills that you would need. So the skills are...
So, reel them off. They are organisation and literacy, note-taking, research skills, presentation, resilience and revision. And as Mrs Silver said, that's been developed over the years through student feedback, teacher feedback, working with colleagues, and they really are those underpinning skills that support your A-level studies, and that varies very much subject to subject. But it's also, again, something within my role that I can offer outside of the classroom in terms of support on that aspect too.
We're now just going to talk a little bit about extracurricular and enrichment activities. So somebody has asked us, what is an EPQ and what does the extracurricular option on the application form entail? So EPQ stands for Extended Project Qualification. This is a project-based independent piece of research that you will complete. You have some input from a member of staff at the start where they help you develop the study skills that you need, and then you complete an independent research project on an area of your choice. And the EPQ is really highly regarded by universities. You might often get a lower offer from a university if you've completed the EPQ, and that's because they like the fact that you have developed the study skills you need to be successful as an undergraduate. Other enrichment options on the application form, that's just to get Year 12s doing something above and beyond their A-level studies. So this year, really popular option, we've got about 80 students doing Rec PE over in the venue. Students like to do the Sixth Form newsletter. We have students going into classrooms to help out as a learning support. We have a Sixth Form newsletter. So there's lots of different things that students can get involved in.
I think also as well, obviously, when we're talking about choices, enrichments is an additional choice to your subjects. I think it's worthwhile throwing in here that we have what is called the swap or drop deadline. So that's at the beginning of the academic year. The first month is for you to transition into Sixth Form, get to grips and comfortable with Sixth Form life, get an understanding of your subjects within themselves. So you'll obviously take part in lessons, get an understanding of what the 2-year course looks like within itself. And if there are any decisions you may feel you want to change, you might have had another subject, for example, which in the back of your head you thought, I might want to study that, we give you that opportunity. There are advice and guidance meetings that take place, conversations, and we will support getting you on the right path while studying with us at A-level over the 2 years. Okay, next one is my kind of question. What options are there for getting food? So within the Sixth Form area within itself, if you've gone onto the Sixth Form area of our school website, you'll see that there's a virtual tour, and in that, at the far end of the common room, you'll see that you as students have access to kitchen facilities. So there's cupboards there, of course, there's a sink, there's a kettle, sandwich toaster, there's a microwave, sort of small appliances for you to use. Pot noodles are a very popular choice, shall we say. We also have eating zones around the school and social areas for other year groups. They all have facilities to buy food, but there's also an exclusive area for you as Sixth Form students to access, which is called the atrium. Staff also have access to this. It's a cafe which is attached to the ODR part of the school, which is the old dining room. Basically you can get teas, coffees, hot chocolates. They have a milkshake machine. You can order stuff, small things like paninis, etc. So that's another option. There is the healthy vending machine with crisps and small snacks, fizzy drinks. And of course you've got the option, with us being so close to the centre of Beccles, the town centre, you've got the option to obviously sign out off-site and go and access food facilities there. That leads on to the next question for, can I go out at lunchtime? So yes, that is the answer to that. Also, in addition to that, when you receive your timetable, you'll have blanks on your timetable for, let's say, a 100-minute lesson as part of your day. You have the option as a Sixth Form student to sign in and out of sight. So on that 100 minutes, if you've got a blank or over break or lunchtime, you can sign out, go and get food down in town, go for a walk and enjoy the sun, which is out today.
And all that we ask with that, again, in sort of light of the more adult, grown-up environment and the responsibility being on students, is that you do physically sign out from the site and just sign back in when you come back, and that's just for health and safety purposes. Something we get asked quite regularly by students is, what's the uniform? Do you have a policy on that? And somebody has said, can you wear what you want? And essentially the answer to that question is yes. We don't have a sixth form uniform. We like the fact that students can be expressive in the outfits that they wear and show their individuality. All that we ask is that you wear clothing that is appropriate for a work environment.
The next question is, what do I have to call staff? So generally, staff will be addressed by Miss, Sir, and alternatives to that, as you would have already expected and already do within a school environment. There are some differences to that. So for example, Maria, who is one of our colleagues in the sixth form team, who undertakes most of the pastoral care within sixth form, does give the option for students within sixth form to either address her as Maria or Miss Cooper, depending on how you would like to do so. But it's very much because it's a school environment, it's the role model aspect of being sixth form students and addressing staff as is expected within schools. Okay, so how many students join us from obviously Sir John Leman, and how many students are external students that join Year 12? For this specific cohort of our current Year 12s, out of roughly 155 students, almost a quarter are external students. So we see lots of external applicants, certainly over the years. Most recently we've seen an increase in external students join us, and we've just actually conducted a survey recently from feedback from certainly external students that have joined us in Year 12, and they've been really comfortable, and there's been such positive comments that have been given back from students about embarking on life with us at Sir John Leman Sixth Form. So yeah.
And we're hoping that there will be a student video where some of them will tell you a little bit about how they found that transition to sixth form. Something that we often talk to students about is the amount of places that they should apply to for post-16, and one of our questions we've had is, if you want to go to Leman Sixth Form, is it necessary to apply elsewhere? The answer to that question is it is not necessary, but we do recommend it. So earlier on we talked about areas such as, will all of the courses run that people want to study? What if you don't get the entry requirements that you need? There might be occasion where students can't access all of the courses they want to study because after we've done our option blocks, courses end up in the same pool. And so for those reasons, we do really recommend that students apply to more than one post-16 provider, just so that you have a plan B and you have a backup in case there is any reason why you decide that you can't come and study at Leman. So yeah, it's not necessary to apply elsewhere, but we strongly recommend it. You can apply to as many post-16 providers as you want. You can accept offers from as many post-16 providers as you want, and you don't need to make your final decision about where you would like to go until the September of Year 12.
Okay, so the next question we've got is, do you come into sixth form every day? The answer is yes. We are a full-time working sixth form, which means attending Monday to Friday. Each and every student's timetable obviously does differ. So for example, you may have a morning period 1 where you have a blank on your timetable, or even indeed an afternoon. In Year 12, you can apply for study leave after Christmas, and when you get to Year 13, you can apply for study leave from the start of the academic year, meaning if there are any spaces on your timetable which are blanks, you can study at home.
And I think the reason that we ask Year 12 to not take study leave until after Christmas is because we're aware that the jump from GCSE to A-level is quite a challenging one. We want you to be here for that first term to develop those study skills that will then help you be successful once you take that study leave at home. So we're at the last question. It's quite a wide-ranging question, quite general, which is, what happens at university? Hopefully the answer to that is that you study hard, you get your degree, and you move on to your next phase of your career. We provide a lot of support at Leman for post-18 options, whether that's university or the world of work and apprenticeships. This includes work experience, trips to universities such as Leicester and Nottingham, where you can see a campus university and compare that to a city university. You'll have a day off timetable in year 12, where you will spend the day either working on university applications or careers and the world of work. You also have access to the school's Careers and Aspirations Manager if you want any further careers guidance meetings. At this stage, it's probably worth you looking at the UCAS website, because on here you'll find all of the university courses that are available to you, but also there's lots of really interesting videos that you can watch, such as how to choose a university, how to choose a course, or student finance videos. So we've come to the end of all of the questions that we've been sent in, and hopefully you found that helpful. If you want to find out further information, look at the events page on the Sixth Form area of our school website. On here you'll find information such as our Year 12 induction conference resources, which students might find of interest in terms of helping them choose subjects. In addition, there's our online parents information evening, where we answer some of the frequently asked questions that parents pose to us, and also it gives you information about the pastoral and academic support available within the Sixth Form.
Okay, and you might be sitting there thinking, I've now got a question. So if there are any queries you might have, you'll find the Sixth Form email address accompanied to this presentation, so please do feel free to send in any of your questions to us. We very much look forward to receiving your applications and hopefully seeing you in the near future.